that though knowledge was power, wisdom required a certain amount of devotion to spiritual exercises to place us mentally and spiritually to live a certain lifestyle that shows wisdom in the way we conduct our affairs and in our interaction with fellow human beings. In more recent times and centuries, we moved from the oral tradition, even though we retained it in our temple, and added the dimension of monographs being received in the privacy of our homes for study. That, of course, depended upon modern technologies, the art of writing, reading, etc. And as if that is not enough, to be more modern and modernistic in our approach to our study programs, we have arrived in an era where our lessons can now be electronically transmitted to the nooks and crannies of this planet where internet services are available. So here we are in our own jurisdiction. We have commenced the online monograph system. If you have the devices, the gadgets, the smartphones, the tablets, the iPhones, the Androids, the laptops, in the privacy of your home, and indeed wherever you are, you have access to read and study your monographs, to review past ones up to the present level or degree of study in which you are with effortless ease. And this is the main thing that I want to communicate to you in this forum. The fact that you now have unfettered access to your monographs, the lessons, the teachings of the order. Every day, every hour, each time you want to read and study, in the privacy of your own phone, device, or gadget, that you can link up through internet and feel at home, visualizing yourself in a sanctum wherever you are, so long as you have the comfort and can create the harmonious surrounding in your own mind and visualization to be able to do this. And I think this is good news. We congratulate the hierarchy of the order and each and all of you who have been yearning for this, that at long last, this moment has arrived. Of course, it has been accelerated in our jurisdiction by the circumstances that have necessitated us to be on this wavelength. And so I would like to pause at the moment and receive and entertain questions. It's possible that some of you are not yet on board in terms of being able to have access to and enjoy the online monographs. But from the mastery of light level, the introductory lessons, right through to your current study point, you have access to these teachings now. And I would like to receive from those of you who are already enjoying it comments and, where necessary, questions as to whether you are facing any challenges. And I'll do my best to address this. And any other issue that you think is of relevance based on the current circumstances of our global experiences in recent times and or in your study program. Thank you very much. I wait your questions and comments.
Thank you very much. I'm also the Grand Administrator. And before we start entertaining, because I've already gathered some questions that people have dropped already directly to me. But before we start taking the questions, I would like to announce to those of us who are experiencing network issues with regards to audio. Please note that if you're still having audio issues, probably you should leave the meeting and rejoin. That is one. And also, we're live on YouTube, so you could go to our private channel on YouTube and also join if you're still experiencing audio issues on this Zoom app.
Thank you so much, Nefe.
Thank you very much, our Grand Administrator. So the very first question is on online monographs. Can I download and print these monographs? Or can I just get the hard copy alone?
Well, at the moment, all are registered members of the order in the English-speaking jurisdiction of West Africa, Nigeria, and Ghana, particularly, and who have membership numbers, are automatically on the online program. You don't need to do anything other than be active and in good standing. And if you have a device that has an internet access, you will, following the guidelines we have issued, receive your monographs online. However, I realize and we can understand that some long-standing members who are used to the hard copies may still want to receive hard copies of the monographs. What we have done is to guarantee you that as soon as the inter-border closures and restrictions are lifted, we can send you the hard copies of these monographs, the ones that were to be mailed in April, but which are trapped here in our mailing department, the ones that should be mailed this month, June, and of course, the ones that are to be mailed in August, October, and October, since we mail bi-monthly. This is going to be automatically so for each and every member. But beyond the October mailing, terms and conditions will apply. since as much as possible, we want to encourage all our members to come on board online. The advantages of receiving monographs online are numerous. It's so much easier to refer to your past monographs at the click of your phone or computer buttons when you're in the environment. And it's so much more convenient. And looking ahead into the future, we also know that it's going to be much better for everyone since the world is moving in the direction of paperless offices and paperless homes, and we are finding that that is more friendly with nature. Perhaps to we'll be cutting down less and less of trees to produce paper. Um, the fact that you can have access to your monographs online minimizes very many things for us. It enhances our capacity to serve you, and is the way that the world is moving in the direction of online, even at the level of primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions these days. Yes, we will still maintain the oral tradition in our temples, and those who attend ITROM, PRONAI, chapters, and large group meetings will still enjoy this facility. At this moment, uh, we have not included the facility for downloading and printing for obvious reasons at this beginning stage. But with time, after we are sure that members appreciate the discipline that also goes with our type of study, whether online or hard copy, we'll be able to include the facility for downloading and printing. Let's have the next question. Sarah Nefara, are you there? Needs to be unmuted.
Okay. Yes, most worthy Grand Administrator, I'm here. Thank you very much for the
Good.
response to the other question. So moving forward, we have, can I give my, is it proper to carry electronic device into the sanctum? And can I give my access to another person if I don't have a device to read? And since my monograph is now on my phone, can I allow another person to touch my phone?
Okay. This writer also feels that the monograph being in the phone has so sanctified the phone that it may not be touched by another person. There are very many good things in each person's phone, and you may wish to know that in your phone as well, you have the electronic version of the most sacred books we can think of in the world. The Holy Bible, whether you are looking for the revised version, the revised standard version, the King James version, the New Bible of Jerusalem, etc. All those versions are there in your phone. Also in your phone are various versions of the version of the glorious Quran, uh, versions of sacred books like the Bhagavad Gita, the Vedas, the Upanishads, and all types of things that you may have subscribed to including but not limited to online tutorials for professional courses in accounting, in engineering, etc., etc. The monographs are private and confidential documents, a property of our organization, jurisdiction order, copyright, and only unauthorized access is allowed. With your key number, and by the way, if you follow the guidelines, you'll find that the password that goes with your PIN number that gives you access means that when you sign in and finish studying the particular monograph and sign off, no other person can have access to it who, by virtue of touching your phone or even making use of your phone to call, send text message, WhatsApp, and all that. So your phone, who should use your phone or not use your phone depends on you, like any other thing. And your family members, your friends, or anybody you feel you can give the phone to use, can use it. But when it's in your palm, you who has access, you have the access through your PIN number and password and email to go to that area, that cabinet, that folder in which you have your monograph. You are the only person who will have access to your monograph because you have the key, the password to that cabinet, that enclosure, that folder in your phone that has the monograph. Others may see the symbol of the order, like in the mobile app, Antiquus Mysticus Ordo Rosai Crucis, with the triangle and the rose cross within the triangle, but cannot have access to your monographs or the lesson because they don't have the key. iPad, desktop, to your monograph. Thank you.
Thank you for the response to that question. I have a question from Kelechi Alozie. It goes, I now have access to my monographs. The question is, how properly would I be guided since I joined in April and I had access to the online platform days ago? How do I get up to speed on my studies?
Have your studies because all of the monographs are not available to you at once. You have access to the monographs only up to the cycle, the level, or study point you have reached in your particular degree. So let us say, for instance, that you have only read up to the third tempo degree of the order. With the online monograph, you ought not to be seeing anything beyond the third tempo degree. And you only see from the neophyte section up to that study point you have reached. And as time progresses, the next month or within the next 2 months, if you are active and in good standing, we activate the buttons from here to place you on the next cycle or study point that you qualify for. And that is how it goes for each and every one of us. That said, please bear in mind that we still have working with you in your study program a Department of Instruction. If you have issues that arise from the study program, you are free to write to us and we will reply you in the same manner that you have written to us. If you write to us from your phone, there is a provision that links you up with the Department of Instruction on the screen of your phone when you open into the online access that gives you room to write or comment and or make study reports at various stages. This facility enables you to communicate with us and it enables us to reply you. If for any reason it's too difficult for you to do so for the time being, if you write to us in the old-fashioned manner, we can also reply you in the old-fashioned manner. Our preference, though, is that you please, as a student on this path, which I too am, familiarize yourself with the electronic procedures, which is not difficult at all. You can have your children or a sibling or a friend put you through if you are having any difficulties or challenges. With us as an organization and as a fraternity, even for those who are not going to the temple, if you know of any of our light bearers, our young ones, most of whom are very conversant with these devices, they can in 5 to 10 minutes just put you through, and then you'll be very happy for the rest of your life that you're able to use the facility. There are a few of our young people who are funnily still naive in some of the applications, and by all means, it becomes the role of some of us who are the parents or senior ones to encourage them to follow the language of their generation. But each of us is a student member, first and foremost. All our officers, including my humble self, we are students like you in the school of life, the University of Life, called the Rosicrucian Order, Ancient and Modern Mystical Order, Rosaic Witches. And if you have been in a forum class with an affiliated body, you will see how some of us who have been members for some good number of years learn from those who became members only the last few weeks. And that is because this type of knowledge is a unique gnosis. It's not something that anybody has a monopoly. The cosmic, the universal consciousness of God within and around us can manifest knowledge to each and anyone, illumination to each and everyone. And as we grow in our understanding of the teachings, we acquire more of the light of knowledge and at various stages, the illumination of wisdom. If you have the attitude of a student, which we expect of institution, and going back to basics, if you remember one of the questions we asked in the application for membership, and I must remind you, will you accept with an open mind new ideas pertaining to yourself and the universe? If your answer is yes, the electronic system, the online system, new ideas. These ideas have come up only in recent years, maybe these last 50 or so years. and therefore offer you and I an opportunity to learn from each and every input and in every field of human endeavor using these processes and devices. What that means is that as a Rosicrucian student, always see yourself in a learning environment, the world in which we live. Every day of your life, if you have a newborn baby, there's something you can learn from this child as the pages of his development unfold one day to the next. As you are learning from the child is also learning from you and imitates almost everything that you do. And so, if as a Rosicrucian, the principle of humility, the attitude of humility, and are willing to learn from our children, from younger ones, from members and non-members alike. Some non-members are very, very familiar with these ideas, and they will tell you, Daddy, this is what to do, or my brother or my sister, this is what to do. And once you follow their guidelines, everything else is easy. You simply repeat the process. I'm seeing a situation in which some people this process and leave it permanently in their sanctum or something like that. I would not be against that. Phones, some of them are very expensive these days, but I can tell you that the phones we are talking about are not that expensive, really, uh, even though they are called smartphones. They have the inbuilt capacity uh, give you access to, does not matter whether you are using all of these service providers, internet service, and I realize villages. There are some instances, one of them, a modem, and with it, you can be linked to any of the networks and have service. You need to get data, and you can get this from any business center, and many of these small business companies provide that these days. So when you charge your phone with data, it also provides the avenue for you to be able to communicate at the level we are discussing today. I don't know whether I have covered all the aspects of that question, but if anything skip me, sorry, if it by all means, let me know. There's something, okay, I was seeing something on the screen, maybe you picked it. So if that is the next question or issue, why not?
Okay. Thank you very much for your response. So what I have here on the screen is from Frater Edmond Alison Oguru. He is saying, most worthy grant administrator, many thanks to you and your team at Eward Calabar for the launch of the online monograph platform. I'm already on board and find the experience very exciting. If it were possible to provide an index of topics and experiments as part of the online resources, it would greatly enhance review of monographs and experiments. Just my thought on how to further enhance our online study experience. That's from Frater Edmond Alison Oguru. And then we'll also have comments. There's a
Thank
general
you.
review. Okay. There's a
Okay.
general review from the people or from members in the group chat area, and they are all commending our online monograph step that we have taken. Then we also have from Frater Henry Inzex or Inzeka. I suggest provision be made for Rosicrucian Forum publication. The developer should work on the zooming, the printing for easier reading. That's from Frater Henry Inzeka. is suggesting
Okay.
that provision should be made
Sure.
for RC forum publication. The developer should work on zooming the printing for easier reading.
Thank you. We are ready on that. What we are doing now is to be able to, from the online system, give you a link. This link will take you to an area, field, or platform where you can read the Rosicrucian heritage online, and you can also read the Rosicrucian forum online. Not just that, that link, when you explore it, can take you easily to previous copies, subcopies of the Rosicrucian heritage or the Rosicrucian forum in such a manner that is very easy for you to make references. This is a unique feature of online access. On the earlier comments from Professor Alice Neguru, Regional Monitor, I can confirm that in the new series of the monographs, as we have updated them, at some of the degrees, you have summaries of the previous degrees, of previous topics that have been covered in that particular degree. And of course, work is ongoing on the index for each degree. And from these indices, it will be very easy for you to refer by subject matter to various monographs up to the level you have reached that are covering a subject, e.g. concentration or contemplation, meditation, psychic experiences, or intuition. All of these are part of the references you can make, and you'll be able to have instant access to the various monographs that are referring to that. We are starting very gradually, but there is works in progress. But clearly, whatever will be needed to make it easier for you to make references to previous studies, previous monographs you have received, will be done to facilitate, a comprehension of the study program for each member.
Yes. Thank you very much. There's a question from Frata Adeleke Ishola, but I think there's another response from Dr. Abimbola Oyedokun, which I feel will be a response to that question. So I'm going to read both of them. Frata Ishola is saying, greetings, sir. Can I be able to access my monographs that I've paid for when I'm not active in the internet as being done with the hard copy? At the same time, Dr. Abimbola is saying, greetings, Wadi GA. In my opinion, there is really no need for a download function in the online monographs portal. At best, a function for offline access within the app can be added by the IT team. So what do you think about it?
Last portion. Said there will be no need for a download, but
yes.
Yeah, he said, okay, I have had access to it. However, I can only open. Okay, just went off the screen. What was Dr. Oyedoku saying at the second part of his comment?
Okay, he's saying that in his opinion, there's really no need for a download function in the online monographs portal. At best, a function for official access within the app can be added by the IT team.
Sure.
That is offline access.
We'll be adding that function and be certain, yes, be certain that, we are taking it one step at a time. We want each member in this jurisdiction to remember that when we join the order, we are made aware of the fact that the knowledge that we are about to receive is sacred and therefore should be kept private and confidential. This undertaking is in the form of a pledge that we have to accept, um, and which we all accepted when we became members. And those of you who have been able to have access know that at the very beginning, that pledge is restated, reinforced, just to remind us that we need to keep confidential the study material, and for very good reason, which do not require any elaboration on my part. That said, we want to be certain that this is clear to each and all who are on board. And normally, in the course of evolving this system, when that is understood properly by each and everyone, we'll be able to extend that further. But for now, and for the next several weeks or months, we want to be certain that all fractors and sorors in our jurisdiction, who are all automatically online members, with effect from this month, master the preliminaries and are comfortable and find their devices convenient. It's not much different from the hard copy thing. When we send you hard copies, you have all the hard copies anyway, and you keep them, in your cabinet or by your sanctum or so, in a confidential manner, and your family members and friends know that this is your private study corner. They will respect you and what you hold close to your heart, and will generally not tamper with what you have regarded and kept in your study corner, knowing that it's programmed for you. So that said, if at some point in the future there is the facility for you to download and even print, we have no doubt in our minds that you will abide by the pledge and keep whatever you have downloaded or printed, in a private and confidential cabinet that you have in your study. That said, we are not exactly at that point yet, and we are not in a hurry to get there. We want to be certain that when we get there, it means that if you want to print a number of them for yourself and for a private use, we have authorized you to so do, and from such a point. At the moment, I think we are very happy and contented with the fact that we can not only read the current monograph we are qualified to, but go back to the very first one we ever received, for that matter, even to the Mastery of Life that preceded it, to review each and every one that we want to review. And as soon as you get conversant with this process within 10 to 15 minutes, you'll be a very happy person, as I am for you, that you can go forward and backwards, reviewing your lessons, comparing notes within yourself. You can make notes, have a notebook, and so forth, and see how these work with you also at the psychic level when you do the various exercises and experiments you have suggested, and you have physical experiences, etc. You make notes in your sanctum notebook or sanctum diary, and over time you will be amazed how much progress you have made in the terms of your overall mystical development. There was a second part to that comment. I don't know whether I've answered it, but
I think it has been answered.
Are there some other questions?
Yes, but it's got to do with AB
Good.
opening as well as the online monographs. So I'll be taking both questions from AB opening, affiliated bodies opening, and the online monograph questions, if you permit me.
Good, please go ahead.
So on AB opening, can we still hold a New Year feast when we resume activities?
Just before then, excuse me. Oh, okay. As I have put in the resumption, a letter of resumption that will circularize, traditionally and customarily, we have the New Year feast in the month of March at a particular sign of the zodiac, crossing, on or about the 20th or 21st of March each year. Um, Traditionally, also, we maintain this as the way to go for New Year ceremony. And what we'll be doing this time is to simply implement the part two. Remember that we have limited time. In many places, they don't want the gathering, uh, be it social or for worship and all that, to last for more than an hour. And so we think that part two of the New Year ceremony, which involves the installation of officers, is the only one that needs to be done. Something has cropped up after that secular left, and I must draw attention to that. In the calendar of major events, we have the last weekend of June, which is when we are suggesting that installation may take place subject to prevailing local circumstances. Because we realize that in some states in Nigeria, perhaps also in Ghana, uh, it's possible that in the event of a spike, and depending on local authorities, uh, the government and local authorities may direct that you cannot have activities in a particular weekend or for a week. If that is so, then the local authorities will see to it that they shift to the next available weekend. That said, uh, we think that the meditation for peace can be done in the form we have established, and then followed by the installation of officers where it is convenient. Some may find it convenient to finish the installation of officers before they do the meditation of peace. But we are saying that within the context of existing protocol, meeting in enclosed spaces, uh, whether they are churches or mosques or synagogues or shrines or temples, may not last for more than an hour. And going by that, I think if we go for the installation of officers part two of the ceremony only, it will be within the time frame that the protocol permits, between 45 minutes to 50 or so minutes, and that should be adequate for everybody to start the installation done. Of course, the local officers may decide that light refreshments in the form of takeaway, can be made to available to participants, and that should be it. The next New Year feast will be March of next year, Christian New Year, and the installation of officers for the new year. But let us see how it goes for each Grand Council area and affiliated bodies, and that the officers are successfully installed by the end of this month or as early as this can be. And then we'll be addressing these other issues once in a while as they arise. Dealing with computers and online, we know that we make use of passwords, and the same thing, of course, in the structure of our lesson. Prosecutions are familiar with passwords and all that, and matching. All I want to say is that we are now in an era, not much thanks to this pandemic, in which what I can see as a password for every situation we are facing nowadays is one word: uncertainty. Uncertainty is the password. We are not we are not sure exactly and cannot predict accurately what the next day, the next weekend, the next week, the next month will bring until as until our collective efforts bring about some solutions in the form of treatment or cure for this virus, and hopefully also in the course of time, vaccine that will help in preventing it. Between now and then, we go with the weather and the atmosphere, of those who are in charge of establishing these protocols of the new normal. We will observe all of them, wearing of face mask or nose mask, which is not particularly strange to electricians and machinists. And then, of course, the sanitizers, washing of hands with soap and water, uh, physical and or social distancing outside as well as within the temples. It's a whole list of things that we have outlined as guidelines for those who resume normal temple services. But we know that with the cooperation of officers, we will be there and we should be able to do these things. And we could easily have said, because of our normal way of doing things, that we should wait until everything clears up before we say resume. But um, quite a good number of officers and members are itching for convocation and the group meetings. And to the extent that federal, state, and local government authorities have allowed and permitted this, why not? We can reopen and flow with the local protocol in force. A question came up on the screen just now about was it a degree forum or something? I could only read the first few lines and just went. The issue of reading our monographs offline. That is that is one of the issues that is before the IT team. That possibility exists. I'm not able to guarantee that it will be feasible this year, but we are working on it very seriously um, because we know that in some rural areas, uh, most of our gadgets can only have access offline. So make no mistake about it. We are working on the offline possibility.
Thank you very much. That also brings me to this question. Rukewe Efekemo is asking, can one still access the app when the subscription and dues run out?
If you are inactive and therefore not in good standing, you will not be able to have access to the monographs. We will allow your there is the normal grace period kind of, but we will allow the facility, the software is available to you after some period of inactivity, 6 months. You will need to go through a process of reinstatement, before you can have access again. So that is one thing that we'd like you to bear in mind. If you maintain your active status uh, beyond 6 months, beyond 9 months, beyond at 1 year, you won't have any access at all. So it's important to remain in active status, maintain your active status, remain in good standing as much as practicable. We understand that there are highs and lows in life that may affect any of us, but we think that after a considerable period of time that we may call grace period, if a member is not able to flow with active status and remain in good standing, he may not have access to the online monographs.
Okay, thank you very much. And another question from Francis Patrick. Kindly advise the estimated date when the podcast within the Monograph app will be activated.
Okay, that podcast will be originating from here. Occasionally, we'll be making some podcasts and maybe to make some specific announcements, to some messages. we are going to try to flow with certain patterns in the rotation program, uh, maybe align with the New Year, align with meditation, align with pyramid and memorial ceremonies, align with the festival of lights, following that type of calendar. At the level of the Zoom platform for meetings, we hope to have Rose Square University International seminars and conferences and workshops and symposia from time to time, featuring some of our board members, Grand Lodge officers, and IRC lecturers. Uh, Certainly at this time, when IRC lecturers cannot travel to where you are or the with me now, we can also do things like PowerPoints and all that, which you can have on your screen for a Rose Square University seminar. So a number of those things you wouldn't be missing. On the contrary, where RCUI lecturers will travel before and have only 10, 15 persons, doing this uh, through a Zoom conference virtually, as I'm doing now, will afford many more persons the opportunity without leaving the comfort of their homes or offices to participate in such a symposium, such a seminar, such a workshop. As a matter of fact, who says we cannot do Acrado in a miniature form, you know, albeit for only 2 hours, virtually and on Zoom? We have done 2 or more sessions now with our live bearers at the level of Hangout or Telegram, and many more things like this can be done. Rosicrucians who are used to visualization before this time would derive a lot of pleasure, in seeing manifest what they have envisioned in their minds and has all these many years. I personally know and appreciate that it's not quite the same. But when we practice these things differently for a certain period of time, then they become the new normal, isn't it? And this is the way the world is going. We can't be too shy about it. Let us participate in these modernistic ways of doing things, savor them, enjoy them, and then develop from this practice a sort of standard or protocol for doing things a different way and addressing more people at the same time. Obviously, when we are looking at a Rose Square workshop or ROCUI workshop or seminar, it won't be of a duration of several hours. I think if we do them, say 1 hour for the presentation and then 1 hour for interaction, pretty much the type of thing we are doing now. And I can press some stuff here and shoot up some PowerPoint stuff for you to look at. And if we do them that way, it will be a good starting point. And already I am conferencing. We have a platform for ROCUI, IRC members, in which we are interacting and working out modalities for giving members access to these conferences at the level of Zoom meetings.
Thank you very
Something
much.
that cropped up on the screen just now, it was with, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I was about referring to the question you asked about some minutes ago. The question you saw on your screen some minutes ago. So I found the question and it goes, greetings, worthy Grant Administrator. I have had access to my monographs. However, I can only open and read from atrium 3, number 7 down, but can't open and read from atrium 3, number 8 and above. Whereas I'm supposed to be studying my first temple degree, if not for the COVID-19 pandemic. What do I do?
Oh, the first part I didn't get. He has read up to what?
He has access on the online platform. He has access
Yes.
to his monographs, that he has access to read from atrium 3 number 7 down, but cannot open and
Yes.
read from atrium 3 number 8 and above. Whereas he's supposed to be studying his first temple degree, if not for the COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay. What follows the third atrium is the first tempo degree. So could it be that he is inactive? If he's inactive, he won't be able to go up to that study point he's talking about. That would be the only thing I can see technically from the point of view of the Department of Instruction that will have disabled him from going beyond the third atrium. Um, in other words, for an active member, you have your monographs, you have access, online access to your monographs, up through and including the level of studies you belong. And therefore, going backwards, you have all the monographs from the neophyte up to that. You can refer to any of them. But from the moment that they are not up to date, you won't receive monographs beyond that point. Or the monographs, even if they are active and you're paid through basic for a year or two, you can only get up to your current study point. So if the issue, and it's a surprise, is not having access beyond what he has gone through, the Department of Adjustment Department will handle that, and he should do us an email, an SMS, um, or a phone call to the relevant, the appropriate phone numbers for him, so that we can adjust him appropriately. The usual challenges we face with the hard copy study program still exist. Somebody is asking about initiations and so on. Um, no, the initiations are there in the monograph. You can do these things in your sanctum, do the initiation in your sanctum. Talking about the one in the temple, this is just for a short while, brothers and sisters. Um, it is said that this experience of COVID may take about 2 years, who knows, possibly 3 years, but we'll be rescheduling these initiations in the temple. After all, they take just a limited number of persons and don't last also more than an hour in any event, depending on the number of persons. So we'll be taking we'll still be doing these things in the temples that are open for that purpose. And if you follow, because we'll be flagging many notices on the website of the Rotation Order Amok Nigeria. So always look at the website for announcements and developments highlighting uh, rescheduled monographs, rescheduled initiations in temples, and the dates. And you can go to the one nearest to you if the borders uh, are open. You know, it is our collective visualization and meditation, yours and mine, that the pandemic does not impact us anywhere near the severity of what we have seen in Europe, the Americas, or so. But should it be a little bit more than what we are experiencing now? If there's a need to suspend uh, temple activities, to suspend group gatherings, this will just be for the period that such need is paramount. In other words, if you miss the initiation this year, or we couldn't schedule one this year, hopefully when things are better next year, it can um, it can be done by you. So we all need to be patient. There are some things we just can't do now, and we must wait for when it is convenient to do so. On the other hand, there are very many things we can do. And we have suggested to you that you do those things while you have the opportunity to do them. Yes, I saw a particular detailed end of a question on the screen, and this was returning to now that we are receiving these monographs online, which are property of Supreme Grand Lodge and only loaned to the member as an incidence of, how is it going to be possible to return them? I mean, this return, I think, is meaning that, we have a notation that in the event of a transition or something like that, the monographs should be returned to Calabar, also, etc. Now, that was true when you had the physical hard copy. So unless you are still receiving the physical hard copies under the terms and conditions that apply, if you are receiving monographs online, when you sign in, you also sign out. After you have finished your session, you click the log out or sign out button, and then you are out. Apart from you, you have your PIN number, your email, and the key, the access to your monographs, no other person has. So what that means in effect is that you don't need to bother about that, because as we have said earlier, if you are inactive for a certain period of time, you won't have access to the monograph, which means no other person will have access to them in any event. So that's not anything to worry about. On the other hand, we too will not be worried and concerned about it, because anybody who breaks in will not benefit in any event from that, not having gone through the system properly. Okay. Are there some other questions?
Yes, there are. Okay. So there are so many questions, and a whole lot of persons have posted in the chat area their support for printable versions or offline versions of the monographs. So many persons have posted there. But Kingsley Ijabo is also stating that we could have printable PDFs and EPUB formats. And Otumba Babatope Ogunowo is also stating that both functions should be provided, offline access and download possibility.
Oh, yeah.
So moving.
Certainly, we'll do that, but not immediately.
Okay. So another question on AB opening. I'm going to bunch the questions together so you can answer them. The first one is, after washing our hands, can we not shake our fellow members in the temple? Then the second one is, the convocation ritual normally takes more than 1 hour. What can we take out of the ritual in order to fit into the 1 hour? Then the third one is, when the new officers are installed, will they leave office in March since they haven't done a complete year? And the fourth one is it safe to use the ACs in our temple?
Yeah, thank you. Let me hope that I can take them. I didn't make any written notes, but if I skip any, by all means, remind me again. I think the first one pertains to after washing hands, whether we can shake hands with fellow members. Much as I would like to say yes, I'm afraid because of existing protocols, I have to say no. There has been the suggestion of greeting with leg. That is, people have the legs stretching. I don't think we are going to create a football field out of our temples, so I'm not going to recommend the leg show. There is a suggestion about the elbow. Again, don't forget, some of our members are quite old now, and you don't want to give the impression when you raise your elbow that high that you mean to box anybody. So we are not going to have boxing tournaments, brothers and sorors. If you look at what I'm trying to do now, I think it's quite cute and nice. That is, you do your hands like this to greet a brother or soror. I've been thinking about this. You know that in many years, I probably have a record of a couple of million handshakes in a year. I like to do this with our brothers and sorors, but at least for some time until this era blows away, and I have said the password is no longer uncertainty, but it is now certainty. We should be able to, before we restore to the old normal, we should probably get very familiar with a very cute, nice way of doing it. Some people can just wave. Others may wish to do this type of thing, bring the palms together, you know. And there are some things which, through the nose of face mask, we say, and that is greetings, 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 you know, greetings, pattern, greetings, sorrow, and all that. Uh, that's it, because the social distancing is requiring 2 meters. Uh, I mean, 3 meters is 10 feet, so these 2 meters will be like 6 feet, or when you stretch hands one way or the other, twice that. So long as we are wearing face masks and we are not talking boisterously or loudly, you know, we should be able to protect ourselves and so forth. The next one has to do with an enclosed space. And from a scientific point of view, I mean, an air-conditioned environment, like in a building or in an aircraft, I mean, it's scientifically debatable whether such air. I know, for instance, that the air in an aircraft is purified in a way, kind of, and it's cleaner than the normal air we breathe in a dusty environment. But in the current protocols, recommendations are that instead of an enclosed place, if the windows are open and people are wearing masks and the fans are on, fine. In some countries, especially outside the continent of Africa, where you have summer period about now and next month, they are recommending a meeting outdoors, you know, so that people don't have the feeling of an enclosed environment. But why we can't do that in Nigeria, for instance, Ghana, is because we are just entering the rainy season now, and we cannot actually be meeting outdoors. It would be illogical to do so. So some of the temples have very high windows, but at the same time, within the temples, you not just have air conditioners, but you have fans to circulate the air, as it were. You know, so again, there are local protocols in each case for these considerations, and as much as possible, those should be followed. Um, there is now this other question about what was it? Is it the third or fourth one? Could you remind me,
There's this question on the convocation hour. The convocation
yes.
ritual normally takes more than 1 hour.
No, actually, if you, from the moment people are admitted into when it finishes, that is when we are counting the 1 hour, not from when you are in the temple premises. You see, and if you go by that, masters of ABs should choose short discourses, not very long ones. And there's nothing wrong with long discourses, but the master also has the authorization from us to have summaries of such a discourse, you know, so that whichever way you look at it, from the moment, in the case of pranay, most pranay convocation most pranay can do with a 45-minute convocation. And then with chapters and lodges, I'm sure if the discourse is, say, 15 minutes, you know, it's all within the 1 hour bracket. And so they should be able to maintain the 1 hour that we have recommended and suggested. So the master should conceive of a very brilliant use of time to make sure that the ceremony is not rushed, people move still at a dignified pace. And then if he finds that he hasn't got the time up to 10 or 15 minutes for a discourse, he can do the summary of the discourse. What we can't just, for instance, uh, dismiss like that is the group meditation, and that's it. We have also suggested what to do when it comes to the intonation of vowel sounds. When you protect your mouth and so forth, and the chanter and chantress give the tune, you chant it on that note, and that cannot be more than to put everything together. I think we can contain the convocation ritual itself um, within the 1 hour time frame. Okay. The question that propped up on the screen just now is to do with Acrado, whether we are still, I think that was from our Councillor whether we still hold Acrado this year. We'll be doing a form of it. Maybe on Vasha,
Who is supposed to?
I can tell you that this is part of the sacrifice we all have to make to ensure that we do not compromise any safety standards or any threat to public health uh, uh, in line with our recruitment discipline. So let us hope that this is thinking well for everybody. We will, through SMS, email, website notification, let you know as we have allowed you to know about the program we are currently having now, this moment, well in advance as to how Liberia zonal activities, Iraq zonal activities, and then Acrado will be held. We'll give adequate advance notice, not just a day or two, to all the stakeholders that have to deliver papers or present papers, uh, for them to be able to put their acts together or their reports together, and we'll be able to future them is to be installed or united as so. Nothing prevents us from reverting to that, and there are other approaches that we can adopt. But any question beyond here, talking about any modification to our rituals and initiations and so forth, is, as you must understand, over and above and beyond me. It will be the imperator of the order who will give an authorization that we can modify any aspect of the ritual. Somebody is asking about whether the convention will take place this year in Abuja. This strata has not received a circular, but let me say this: this convention has been postponed till November next year. And any other development about it, you will see in our website on the convention about the convention. If you go to that platform, uh, in any date or developments about the convention will be highlighted. Okay, for now, I think we are through with most of the things that we wanted to cover. The time is also fast spent, and I know it's Democracy Day, so I wish each and all of you a very happy Democracy Day. Is there any one or two things you think I should take on? Or not particularly? If not, I think we are probably about done. Is that right?
Yes, I think so too.
Good. So I wish you a very happy, not just Democracy Day, but a Democracy weekend for you to contemplate the Rosicrucian approach uh, as statesmen and stateswomen that Rosicrucians are, you know, through our human duties and obligations, you know, which, by the way, was part of the themes in the various conclaves we have handled this year, to be good citizens, law-abiding citizens of various countries in which we reside and work, and also to remain committed to our triune obligations to the supreme intelligence, to our fellow human beings, and to ourselves through self-mastery. If that is all that we have for the time being, I ask that brothers and sorors, wherever you are, you please sit relaxed and turn your consciousness inwards. Let us send out our thoughts of light, life, and love to our fellow human beings throughout the face of the earth, to our brothers and sorors, our family members, friends, and relatives, to all species in creation, the animal kingdom, the vegetable kingdom. And let us be aware that our planet that has fellow human beings like us and other species, our one planet, under threat and intimidation by pandemic, needs to be relieved of the stress and burden. Let us send thoughts of succor and solace to all who have lost loved ones and to ourselves who, by virtue of some fellow human beings suddenly passing through transition after a brief illness because of this pandemic, feel bereaved as well, as they are all part and parcel of our common humanity. Let us be grateful to the Supreme Intelligence for those who tested positive, or who have been relieved and discharged, and who are now back to their families. Let us focalize for divine inspiration, guidance, and revelation to researchers at the level of the World Health Organization and in various countries, frontline medical workers and scientists in search of a treatment and cure, as well as for those who are researching for the vaccine, to be inspired to come up with these discoveries, which will help humanity feel protected and safe, and for things to gradually normalize for all. And, so, And now may the grace of God, the light, life, and love of the cosmic, and the benediction continue to abide with each and all of us. So much it be. Thank you, brothers and sisters. We look forward to seeing again shortly at this level of communication. Peace profound.
Thank you very much, Moswati Grand Administrator. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the second edition of this e-forum. Thank you for putting us through on the online monograph and the reopening of our affiliated bodies. We thank you. And to our members, our fratres and sorors, our respected dignitaries of our order, we really appreciate you for creating time to be present at this e-forum. And yes, we experienced a bit of network issues, but it's one of those things. And we hope to have a better experience next time. So on this note, I would say, have a great day, everybody.